Hello, my peeps. Present here, aka Godzilla Hawk, and I have a very special guest on the show. We've done a lot of videos in the past. We recently did NXT review together, and we're going to be talking about NXT again. But before we do, let me introduce to you the one and the only Mitch Smith from the Wrestling Gurus. But now he's a member of the Global Smith Entertainment currently. So give him a round of applause.
Oh, I think we actually need to do this a little properly when it all comes down to it. You were giving me like that applause and everything, and like it's good. Like it's good that and it's cool that you're giving me an applause like that. But yeah, like when it all comes down to it, man, I don't deserve an applause from the guy that we call Preston Boger. It's kind of laughable, but what I need an applause from is this. Motherfucker. This is botching more than Sin Cara. It doesn't work. Yeah! Oh, it stopped. Yeah! Yay!
Oh, yeah.
Yay for Google Effects.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that's very appropriate.
Very appropriate. But no, in all honesty, I am glad to be on your show again. It's always a pleasure coming on to your show to shoot shit about wrestling. I love doing it. Actually, I've been on the move when it comes to videos today, and even yesterday. I was and these are a few shoutouts before we get started. Console Kid 14. Tomorrow he is posting a video of us playing WWE 2K16, and I demolished him. You guys can check Console Kid. That is CONSOLEKIDD 14, and it's a capital C. And you just gotta check it out. The Console Kid 14. I ended up just killing him. WWE 2K16. He's putting it up.
Oh my.
And then a shout out to Vince Russo and Scott Casey Gale for having me on their show. So that's to top that off too. And then I did the draft lottery. So I did like the draft, drafting everybody's numbers for the Royal Rumble contest, which is huge again. So now I'm on Preston's channel, and it's awesome to come on everyone else's channel. And there he is. Come on, he's doing the excellent by Mr. Burns. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
so it's back to you, man. I'm Mitch from
Yeah.
Global Smith Entertainment, if you don't know me by now. But now, Preston, take control of the show.
Yes. And first of all, like I said, Console Kid 14 is in my Royal Rumble contest. So let's see if you do well. But yeah, so a little shout out to you there. But also, so we're just here to talk about NXT right now, since that the very new episode of the new season just aired on Wednesday. Mitch and I want to give our thoughts about the current state of it right now, and then what could possibly happen in the near future with some possibilities, whether that be rivalries, whether it be future matches, whether it be future debuts, just NXT in general. We want to SmackDown where I get pissed off, and because I want to be happy. Bigger NXT is would be a little bit better. So I figured we should talk about NXT. Now, as you know, there's going to be a triple threat #1 contenders match for the NXT Championship. We got Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, and Samoa Joe in 2 weeks. The question is, though, who would fit Finn Balor best? Now, we know Finn Balor and Samoa Joe can have a great match. We saw it at Brooklyn. Or, no, I'm sorry, not Brooklyn, England, sorry. So we know they can have a good match. But we've already seen that match already. Not saying I don't want to see that match again, but for the next special, we kind of want to see something a little different. Baron Corbin, Finn Balor. Baron Corbin's a very interesting worker. It just depends how they use him. So that could be kind of a hit or miss, depending, how the match is all booked on everything, how they build it up to be. But then you got Sami Zayn and Finn Balor, something fans would love to see. It would be a great high-flying, technical wrestling match like back in ROH, or back in the independent scene, where I'm assuming they probably wrestled all over the world together. So that would be a great match. So the question is, who would fit the bill? Well, obviously, Sami Zayn would be better, would be the obvious better choice if they want a wrestling match. But then again, it's really hard because they could give it, because I don't know what they're going to do, because WWE's in desperate need of stars right now. So I don't think Samoa Joe's going to be in there, because I think WWE's going to maybe pick up Samoa Joe soon. I'm not saying like next month or anything, but they could pick him up because NXT's really has all these stars and WWE's really desperate right now. So they could always get Samoa Joe. But then that leaves Baron Corbin and Sami Zayn. Do you want to give it to somebody that's decent in the ring and never held a championship, or do you want to give it to somebody that's held the championship, never has rematch, and could quite possibly steal the show and have match of the year for NXT? It's really difficult. I would lean towards more Sami Zayn as in terms of wrestling wise, but if you need to give somebody a chance, I say Baron Corbin. It's kind of a 50-50 spot here, if you kind of get what I'm trying to get at. But Mitch, what are your thoughts? Like, who you could face Finn Balor at the WrestleMania weekend show or in the near future for the title?
Honestly, I think it should be Baron Corbin. And the reason I say Baron Corbin is it's just because I can already see a rivalry building between Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn. I can already see it happening. I can see the wheels turning. I can already see these guys wanting to do just a singles bout against one another and have almost a semi-main event, a co-main event on there. The main event, I think, you've had Samoa Joe already in the picture. You've had Sami Zayn in the picture, in the title picture. I think throwing Baron Corbin, I think he's due for a title shot just to show what he can do. And I honestly, how I can see it happening, I could see Samoa Joe 2 weeks from now hitting the Muscle Buster or screwing over somehow, screwing over Sami Zayn, and then all of a sudden walking out of the ring 1, 2, 3, basically almost doing anybody can win this championship, but it's not going to be you. Making Sami Zayn the underdog again, making him come this much closer to winning and becoming the #1 contender, and he comes this short. So you're building that up between Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn. Baron Corbin goes on to do his own thing against Finn Balor, which I'm excited to see because I want to see what they can do. And I think it's a big test for Baron Corbin to see how he can do in a main event situation. So that is what I see happening.
Yeah, I know, and that's actually a pretty good reason and everything. But like even when you watch Breaking Ground, Baron Corbin wants to do something. Like Baron Corbin's trying his best to be in that spot and be on the main roster, but he's lacking something. So it would be kind of interesting to give him the belt. And plus, if they're WWE's really this desperate, they could try to put Finn Balor on the main roster sooner. However, in order to do that, he needs not to be the champion. So they could do that where they could have Baron Corbin maybe become that next champion, have him be dominant, be his own character and everything. And that way it's a good test for Baron Corbin, saying, like, let's give him the belt now. Let's see what he can do with it. Maybe he'll run well with it. Maybe he'll be a really terrible champion. We don't know. We haven't given that risk. So why don't we maybe give him the belt and just see where it goes? And who knows? Maybe if he does well, maybe the main roster will come up and he'll get his dream of going to the main roster. So I see what you're saying there. And it's turns Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn. I think that would be a great match too. And yeah, I can see what you're saying, how they're butting heads a lot more, and Baron Corbin's just kind of like saying back, like, okay, whatever. So yeah, we could see a match at the next event with those two, and that can happen. So yes, I agree with you on that sense. So yeah, I can see Baron Corbin winning as well. It'd be kind of interesting too. And yeah, big proving ground for Baron Corbin. Now, besides that, let's move on. Well, I want to talk about the NXT Tag Team Championships now because I'm not gonna lie. We got Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder I went from being like, who the hell are these guys, to now these guys are really physical. These guys are very aggressive. I can't put my mind on, I can't put my mind to it, but these guys remind me of a certain tag team. I can't remember, but they're just brawlers. They're technical brawlers, and they're just aggressive. And they've really been upping their game as of late. They went from being this tag team to like, who gives a shit, to now they're like the tag team, and they're really starting to get over with the crowd. Not as over, I would say, as like Enzo and Cass, or Chad Gable, Jason Jordan, but they're starting to get up there, and they're at least giving them the time for them to develop their characters and have them hold those belts for a while longer. Now, as in terms of who could face them, I think it's guaranteed. I think it's going to be Chad Gable and Jason Jordan. Besides Enzo and Cass, they're the most over tag team. They are the best wrestling tag team, in my opinion, on NXT. The crowd loves them. I've seen their stuff on Twitter and Facebook, and I see the crowd doing all sorts of chants in the UK for these guys, and you could tell they love them, and they want these guys to become champions. They went from being whatever to typical heels to then now everybody just loves them. So what are your thoughts, Mitch, about the Chad Gable and Jason Jordan thing, and what are your thoughts about the current tag team champions, and what do you see happening?
With Chad Gable, Jason Jordan, then you have Dash and Dawson. Honestly, when I look at what they're doing right now, I think they're doing just fine. Vince Russo podcast, we were talking about the Ascension showing up and going against Wilder and Dawson, and seeing them go up against it, and the Ascension ended up losing. And I remember looking back at the Ascension looking so dominant. They were so dominant. They were undefeated. They were a long-reigning tag team with those titles, and were taking out everybody. And all of a sudden, they just started to fade away. They got buried on the main roster. And it was really weird seeing them come on, because they don't have that same feeling that they used to have when they came in. Welcome to the wasteland. Well, welcome to the not being booked on television land, because that's what's happening. But then you have these talented tag teams, right? Like Dash and Dawson. You see them. And then you see Gable and Jordan, and they're tearing it up. And the thing that I like that they're just instinctively doing with these tag teams is that they have finishing moves. They have a finisher as a tag team, which we weren't seeing for the longest time. We were seeing combination moves when we saw Air Boom. We ended up seeing the Trouble in Paradise, and then we had the Shooting Star Press. So yeah, if you really want to put it that way, yeah, that was a double team move. But I mean, and them actually doing it together. Yeah, like when you had Eminem, they did the snapshot. The Dudley Boys, they did the Dudley Boys did the 3D. The Hardy Boys, they did so many combination moves, but to add to that, they ended up doing the Twist of Fate to the Swanton Bomb. Made sense because that's what they did. And then you have Wilder and Dawson, and here they're doing like the flapjack into a gutbuster codebreaker. You have moves done by the Ascension that they end up ending them with the clothesline, and then the sweeping from the legs from behind. So you have that double team that they do that. The Hype Bros, Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley, ends up picking the guy up, and then the Rough Rider off the top rope. You see these kind of moves, and it's like, wow, these are working as tag teams. They're going back to the common format. Back to the 80s, where you had the Heart Attack, where you had Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and they did that move. You had the Legion of Doom, where they did the Doomsday Device, which was a big move there too. You had you just had like even Demolition. They had their own move too. Backbreaker, and then the elbow drop off the top second rope. They did things like that to make it believable. The Highlanders even did the classical, it was the reverse suplex rebound off the ropes. They did that too, and I don't know if any of you guys remember that. this is what I like. They're making tag teams, and I've always liked tag teams that do finishers as a tag team. Tag team finishers, I think, is what sells. On the other end, with NXT, they're doing a great job with their tag teams. I just am scared that bringing them to the main roster could end up poorly just because I don't know what they could do.
Yeah.
Overall, I can't speculate yet because they haven't done it. But I think right now, with seeing how these tag teams are progressing, seeing how they're starting to really come into their own, makes me really happy.
No, and I agree with you and everything. And like I said, that one thing you said about the whole the incoming roster kind of being spectacle, that actually involves with a certain rivalry that we'll get more into talk about. It's in the title of the video, but I gotta say this right now. I gotta say this right now. When I saw Chad Gable and Jason Jordan start wrestling, I really went, these guys remind me of something. They're amateur wrestlers. They're over with the crowd. Who do these guys remind me of? They got ring gear, actual wrestling attire, the same gear. Who do these guys remind me of? I'm thinking of World's Greatest Tag Team. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. It's honestly true. When I see it, I think World's. Well, I'm just being serious. I mean, if you really think about it,
you're right.
It's not because like, oh, one's white and one's black no, it's because think about it, if you really look at it, they're very similar. They're both amateur wrestlers. They're over with the crowd. They got the same uniforms, like literally like wrestling gear like you would wear at high school, or if you're going to a wrestling tournament, a real amateur wrestling tournament, you wear that ring gear, and that's what it is. That's who they remind me of, and that's what I like about it. And like you said, Dash and Wilder, if they went to the main roster, we don't know what they could do with them, because that proves that on NXT, like that just proves it. On NXT, the Ascension is over with the crowd. Everybody loves them. On WWE, it's like, oh, another jobber tag team. It's pointless. It's like, what was the point of bringing Ascension if you're just going to maybe only use them for a month, and then that's just like, de-push them. We don't like them. Yeah, who cares if they beat the New Age Outlaws? Yeah, like you could build them up, but you didn't, and now you're having it as a joke tag team with Stardust, which is doing nothing. Enzo and Cass, that's another prime example, over with the crowd, but their gimmicks are goofy. We don't know what WWE could do with them on the main roster. Jason Jordan, Jack Gable, they might actually have a chance. They might have actually a better chance, in my opinion, on the main roster doing good because of their amateur wrestling background and everything. So that's the only team I actually see that could be actually a legit team on the main roster and not be de-pushed. But that's my opinion there. But now, let's move on to the main topic I want to talk about, or we should talk about, is this. First of all, we had Divas Battle Royal to determine who's going to face Bayley for an NXT Women's Championship. Now, here's the thing. I think a lot of people were kind of thinking maybe Nia Jax was going to win, or Asuka was going to win. All these gals. But surprisingly, it was Carmella. I actually did not expect Carmella to win. But this is also good because this also means that they have faith in Carmella. Bayley and Carmella are best friends in real life, so they would have a blast working with each other. They can actually think of some things to do. And then thank God it's not Eva Marie, because Eva Marie can go get fired for all I care, because she does fuck all in that business. So thank God for that, because yeah. But yeah, so having Carmella is it's something. See, having somebody like Carmella win is the exact opposite of what WWE is doing. They're taking a big risk because Carmella almost still feels like she's developing still. She doesn't feel like she's there yet, but NXT is actually trusting her and having a match with Bayley. And it could be a great match. I'm not saying Carmella is terrible or anything, but this is a big risk. And the fact that they're having her in a title match with probably the most over woman right now, currently on the main on any WWE source, whether NXT or main roster, and you're giving her a chance, which is a good thing, but at the same time, it's a big risk. And that's something WWE is failing to do. is take risk. Again, the Kalisto thing is a prime example. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. But now the question remains, will these girls have a great match? And could this possibly become a future rivalry? We don't know. We'll get more into the rivalry part, but Mitch, what are your thoughts about the whole NXT taking this big risk with Carmella, this whole Divas Revolution thing?
I don't think it's a risk. I think it's smart. Right now they have the women's division is really hot right now. It really is. The women's division is really hot right now to main event, and you have an over-the-top battle royal. Now, this is one thing I want to point out. They did an over-the-top battle royal. You know what that means? That doesn't mean the going through the middle rope battle royal that they do on the main roster. They were going over the top. And that is what I liked about it. Like, come on. You're telling me that you're going to do an over-the-top battle royal with these women, but God forbid on the main roster, you're going to go through the middle rope? It's stupid. Actually, to be honest with you, it's actually kind of unsafe sometimes to see them going backwards through the middle rope because you have nothing you can grab on. At least if you're going over the top rope, you can grab onto that rope and you can block yourself going down. That is the one thing that I want to add there. That if you've noticed that, it was an over-the-top battle royal. On the other side, Carmella winning it, I'm happy. Something didn't feel right, but when I was like, Eva Marie's going to win, I'm like, they're leading the Eva Marie a lot. And when Carmella came out, I went, yes, because when she was taken down, she went under the bottom rope, and the announcers actually acknowledged that too. And then all of a sudden, when Eva Marie did that, and she was celebrating because she ended up eliminating Asuka, then all of a sudden I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they've completely ended this because I doubt that they want to do an Eva Marie and Bayley feud. I don't think it has anything there. So, which is good that they did Carmella because, like you said, they're best friends. They get along with one another. The fans know that they even made names, a team name for them. The fact is, and the whole topic of this video is the fact, not just the NXT talk, but could this be a possible rivalry? Could we see a Bayley heel turn? I don't think so, but could we see a Carmella heel turn? I could see that. Bayley turning heel this quick, I don't think would be good. Who knows? It could be good. But I think Carmella turning on her friend or something, I could see them doing an angle where you end up having Carmella and they have a friendly match against one another at probably one of the takeover events or even on NXT or something. I could see them just doing this on a regular NXT taping. And you end up having Carmella lose cleanly, and then all of a sudden Carmella turns heel right then and there because she knew right from there the friendly fight that they ended up having, the friendly match that they ended up having together, turned into an all-out brawl. And why she took that spot is because Carmella knew that she didn't want to go down to the back of the line. She wanted to stay at the front of the line still. So in order to do that, they make this rivalry personal. They go on to the next takeover event. You do Carmella, you do Bayley, and I can see them doing something like that. That is just in my own opinion. I don't know if they would do that WrestleMania week. I don't know, but I think that would be a captivating story.
No, and I agree with you. As in terms of Bayley being heel, I don't see Bayley as a heel. I'm trying to work. But Carmella, on the other hand, remember when she started debuting and they're doing those segments and promos with Enzo and Cash, she was kind of very bossy. She acted very bitchy. She acted like a spoiled little princess, and she pulled it off well. So Carmella, I think, could pull up the heel role a lot better, and it would actually make a lot of sense. Have a match, Carmella gets a little upset, maybe does something like, oh, yeah, good match. Maybe almost kind of like, I hate saying this storyline because I hated it, but do something kind of like Christian where, instead of Orton and Christian not being buddies at all, but this time they're best friends, like Carmella's the underdog, she loses, then she wants another rematch. she doesn't get the opportunity. Then she slowly starts turning on Bayley and doing something like that. And that way Carmella starts getting more frustrated, and that builds up a possible rivalry or feud. And that could work too. But like you said, would they do that WrestleMania weekend? I don't know. In fact, I actually picked a different type of stipulation or an idea for WrestleMania weekend for the women's match. And I've actually sent this thing at the real Triple H on Twitter, because I actually thought about this really hard. I thought, well, if they could do an Iron Woman match, why don't they do something else that hasn't been done ever? A match that we don't see anymore. Why don't you do something? Like, if you're talking about revolution with these NXT women, if you want these women to get noticed more and even bigger, why don't you go out? Why don't you do something like a championship scramble match? Think about that. There's so many women on their show. And think about that. When was the last time you see a championship scramble match? I think
I love that match. I really love that match. I love that match. Except for having Mike Adamle, the one that was general manager, because he was just god awful. Like, hell, he even botched Jeff Hardy's name and called him Jeff Harvey. But that's on another subject. But when you ended up having him as a general manager and he ended up coming up with this championship scramble stuff, it was cool because you ended up seeing the guy that was holding the title, Brian Kendrick, at one point. And it was so close, and it was a match where it's like, holy crap, like anybody could possibly win this.
Exactly.
And it made it almost unpredictable. So I think that's a perfect thing right there, is having them do a championship scramble match too, to get them on the thing, because you have the personalities like Asuka, you have the personalities like the Emmas and the Dana Brooks, and you have Bayley, and you have all these top ones. You have Eva Marie. If you really want to make a championship scramble, you could do it with those women wrestlers. I think that's a brilliant idea, Preston.
Well, and again, thank you for it. And look, I mean, let's think about this. And let's say if Carmella does turn heel, let's just say that. Bayley, we got to put Nia Jax in there. It just makes more sense. She's a main event type women's wrestler. She has a thing with Bayley. Okay? You could put Carmella in there. Like I said, if they turn heel, put Carmella there. They've had history with Bayley. Put Asuka in there because she's really over with the crowd. She's undefeated right now in singles matches. And then maybe you could put like a returning Dana Brooke or Emma, or if you really want to kind of do it even Marie, but I wouldn't count on it. Just leave her out of the picture, because we want a good match, not a botch fest. You know what I mean? But I like the idea though, because it's just something new. And it's going to get the women over. And like you said, it makes it more unpredictable and makes Bayley look more like an underdog, because the odds are really stacked against her favor. And it's really clever, because now Bayley's she's not like, oh, I got to get so many decisions. Now it's like, I got to look everywhere, and I got to make sure I get the last pinfall or last decision before the time runs out. But I got 4 other competitors. So that's what I like about that too. And I just think that's a smart idea. I don't know if they will ever do it, but just think about it. There's so much you can do. You got plenty of time before WrestleMania weekend show. So they can build this up. They can build us up to the maximum. They could build us up the ass. And then we can get some of the best women talent on there. And we get one of the best women's matches again, period. Like in Brooklyn and Breaking Respect. It could be one of those matches where we can go look back and go, I'm proud of what they did there. I'm happy I saw that, and it's not like back in 2000 freaking 10 or 11 when we went piss break. We can be like, look at all these matches they're doing. They're doing Iron Man matches. They're doing champion scramble matches. They're doing something different. And even Battle Royals. I totally forgot about the Battle Royal thing and how they were going over the top ropes to the mill. And I was grabbing. I was like, why would they go through the mill rope? Like, I thought this was a Battle Royal. I thought you'd go over the top. And I like that, how he brought that up too. So, yeah, there's so much they can do with the women's division, and Bayley and Carmella could be a potential feud, and it could work if done right, and they could have a good match. But the championship scramble match, think about what they could do when they build up all these women and maybe combine them, and then say, we're going to have a championship scramble match just out of the clear blue. Imagine what the fans are going to be like. They're going to probably be like, what? Championship scramble? What the hell? When was the last time we had that? What, 2008? So what? Maybe that was 6 years ago. I think no, not 6 years ago. 8 years ago, I think it was. So like, look at all this stuff that can happen, you know. So that's what I like. But yeah, so that's my thoughts right there. And do you have any last things you want to say before we end this video off, or do you have any other thoughts?
Do you know what, man? I'm good. I think we covered what we wanted to talk. I think the big thing I wanted to bring up there, and I'm glad I brought it into it, was the fact that we could talk about the over-the-top battle royal and how NXT actually did it right, and they didn't go through the middle rope battle royal. I think honestly we covered that. I'm excited to see what NXT has to bring us. I'm really excited. Like there's possible Bullet Club that we could have in there. That's for another video. That's another topic. But honestly, wrestling's looking all right for right now. It's I'm not saying it's looking good. It's everything. Like there's things that need to be improved. But right now, it's looking all right. And as far as anything goes right now, NXT is stepping their game up, and they're I can see a lot of good stories coming up for this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. But so that's pretty much it, guys, for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below. Tell us, do you like any of these ideas? Do you have your ideas of your own? So comment down below. I'll put a link in Mitch's video, link for Mitch's channel, so you can check that out. Don't forget Royal Rumble contest coming up.
Yeah, and speaking of Royal Rumble,
subscribe to Mitch. And all I can say is thank you, Mitch, for coming on to my show. And that is pretty much it. So take care, all my peeps, and we'll see you guys next time.
Quick. I just want to say something quick.
Quick.
Speaking of the Royal Rumble contest, I have the Royal Rumble contest. You guys should see that video really quick. Subscribe to Global Smith Entertainment. Also, like our Facebook fan page, Global Smith Entertainment, and also follow me on Instagram at SonOfAMitch60. Subscribe to Godzilla Hawk. Makes good videos, does all of his interviews and all of that stuff, and also is training to become a wrestler, which is really happy for me too. So other than that, thank you guys for watching this video, and Preston, end it.
Take care, all my peeps. We'll see you guys next time.